Hello everyone, my name is Sid, and welcome back. On today's video I got for you the follow-up build that I started playing a little bit after the Ignite Elementalist that I've showcased in my last video. I got very lucky and managed to drop myself a lightning coil. In fact, I dropped two, so I might make a second Pathfinder steal this league, we'll have to see. And from what you've seen in the thumbnail, we are playing a Molten Strike Poison Pathfinder. Why Molten Strike? Well, for once I wanted to do something different from what everybody's playing with Scourge Arrow and Caustic Arrow. And I very much enjoy Molten Strike as a visual. It's also a very good vector of applying poison because it hits a bunch. That's a bunch of projectiles, all of them can apply a poison, and with returning projectiles it allows us to apply the poisons very quickly on the enemy. So, very quickly going over the items that we have here. Very core to the build for the defensives is Lightning Coil and Dawnbreaker. These allow to convert a large amount of our physical damage taken to elemental, and in trade this allows us to not have to worry at all about armor. We just run Grace, no determination on this build. And then for an extra defensive, we run Petrified Blood. On top of that, we are also very mandatory. We're using Poison Bear Tincture. This allows us to scale our poison damage through all damage, not just chaos and physical, which allows us instead to scale it through a bunch of added flat elemental. This then means we are forced naturally to play the Warden Wildwood Ascendancy, and the points I've taken here is Coated Blade, Nature's Concoction, Oath of the Magi, and then whatever. You can take Detect Evil to see rares and uniques in the minimap, which is a nice little thing, or if you want to be just max efficiency, you can take two of the small nodes for even more Vivid Wisps whenever you are doing the league mechanic. For the order here, I took Coated Blade, I then took Nature's Concoction, but I actually think going out of the Magi very early on is amazing, because while leveling, you don't really need a bunch of the support gems, and you can easily have two of these up at all times. And in my current setup, I am running no sockets on my gloves, which allows us to get 25% maximum life. You can pick whichever you'd rather have. No sockets on the helmet allows you to have 50 to all resistances, which is also very valuable. And on the boots, you can have a 30% access speed, which personally I think is the weakest of the three. So, for the gear, on the claw, we have a triple flat claw with poison damage, and optimally you would then have attack speed as a suffix as well. This is decently easy to craft with just throwing a bunch of flat essences on an Imperial Claw and trying to get as high flat as you can, and seeing what you can do with the suffixes. Really, that's how I crafted this. Just a bunch of essences, you're gonna eat something good eventually. On the helmet, we have crafted this with an essence to get the mana reservation efficiency. I'll explain that in a little bit on why when I get to the gem section. And then you really want the duration of elements you inflict while focused, and optimally you'd have life and whatever else that is beneficial for us in this. The shield, as I explained, Dawnbreaker, very good for conversion, gives us a lot of block as well, just a good shield all around. Lightning Coil, again, very critical piece of our defenses here, gives us a tiny bit of flat, is negligible, doesn't really matter, gives us life and phase converted to lightning, which is very good. On the amulet, just a bunch of flat. I rolled it with a lot of stats because I really need the strength and the dex and the intelligence to an extent as well. I anointed Divine Judgment, which if you don't know is this node all the way up here. Okay. Other things that you could potentially anoint, Dirty Techniques is very good. Deadly Draw is very good. Unfortunately I don't have the oils for this, but this is a very good thing. Other than that, here we just have bit of flat, strength, max life, and recoup. Recoup is a very niche and premium stat. You don't need that, but it's just nice to have. Here we have Ice Fang Orbit, gives us a bunch of poison on hit chance, which you still need to cap with this tincture. This is very important actually. This doesn't work like the Elementalist, because the Elementalist has 2 lines of text, one that says all damage can ignite and all hits will ignite. That means you can surpass the necessity for ignite chance. You cannot do that with this node. You still need to cap your hit chance, your chance to poison on hit. Okay, very important. And this allows us to have that, as well as a big increased damage with poison, which is nice. Optimally, I would then swap this for a Nimbus later. On the gloves, we have chance to poison implicit. We have non-val strikes target 1 additional nearby enemy, which only applies to our clear, but it's a nice little extra for our clear. On the gloves here, we have resistances, life, and a bit of accuracy, which is also quite nice. Forgot the implicits here. Fizz damage converted to an element is very good. Obviously, we're trying to do that to maximize our defensives. And then +1 to maximum lightning resistance is very good, because we're converting most of our physical damage into lightning with the lightning coil. On the belt, this is actually a very nice belt. We have triple resistance suffixes, very high life, and a flask applies to you, have 8% increased effect. We are scaling flask effect, and we're a pathfinder, so we benefit a lot from our flasks. Our elemental flasks down here have 100% uptime as well, so very good belt. We just have a bunch of flat to our claw damage, quite good, could be much better. These are all tier 2, yeah, tier 2, tier 2, tier 2, tier 3, so could be a much better jewel. We'll work on that. On the boots here, implicits are not very important. We have high life, movement speed, and onslaught. This is where I'm getting my onslaught chance on kill. I don't have it for single target. And then resist, regen. The regen is not very important, but it's a nice little added thing. On the flasks, I have an eternal life flask because we are using this essentially permanently, so trying to keep it up at all times. I have a bottle fight. I got very lucky, dropped a Cortex map. In fact, I dropped 3 now, and one of them gave me the flask. And it's a nice bit of added damage for us. The tincture, very important, make sure it's turned on. You see it's turned on when it has that orange glow around it. And then your 2 flasks. We are using those to cap our resistance. As of right now, we are not capped without them. And we are also not elemental weakness capped, so I cannot run elemental weakness. Well, I can, but it's gonna get ugly very quickly. So if you want to run that, make sure you are elemental weakness capped at a very minimum to lightning, and optimally to fire as well. For the passive tree, as you can see, it's a very standard Pathfinder passive tree. You just take everything that is related to poison, like here, like here, like here. We take this extra wheel here for attacks, fire of an additional projectile, very good for us, as well as non-foul strike skills, target 1 additional nearby enemy. If we didn't have this, I would be running Ancestral Call until I can drop it. And then we take just the normal things around this area. We take our Reservation here, we take life, we take dot damage here, more life, claw here, and then you pat all the way up here for a bunch of chaos damage multiplier, which applies to poison, and the extra reservation and aura effect up here. So, very standard passive tree. For the Ascendancy, my order was Master Toxist, Nature's Reprisal, Nature's Adrenaline, Master Surgeon. Nature's Reprisal is not necessary until late into the game. So if you want just a flat sustain very early on, you can take Nature's Adrenaline instead, and Master Surgeon very early on. Make the build defensive just start to work a lot earlier, and then work from there. I leave that to your discretion, but Master Toxis is very nice, because it gives us that pro lift that allows us to clear packs very easily. On our links, like I said, we're not using anything on our gloves. You can pick to do what you want to do with that, be it gloves, helmet, or boots, up to you. Or if you don't want to use any of that and instead want to use something like a cast on damage setup, you can do that as well. For our 6th link, we are using Molten Strike. We want the quality here, it's very important because it gives us more damage with hits and elements. We are then using GMP, Unbound Elements, Multi-Strike, Returning Proj, and Deadly Elements. I was using Added Chaos before this, but Deadly Elements is way better, way more important. So keep that in mind. I then have Despair as our curse and Blood Rage. For our movement, I have Whirling Blades, Faster Attacks, Accessible Protector, Life Tap. We have Arrogance linked to a Precision, and a Plague Bearer. Plague Bearer is just here, is not linked to anything. And then for our auras, we have Anger, Petrified Blood, Grace, and Enlighten. The reason we are using Enlighten level 2 plus this Reservation Efficiency craft on our helmet is to allow us to use Anger instead of Herald of Agony, because for me it was way more damage. So that's a nice little addition to have. And I believe that is all, really. I will leave the POE in the description. If you have any questions, anything to add, anything that you need to know, do let me know. Otherwise, I'll leave you with the showcase of the build that I made for a Minotaur mob. So please enjoy. So very quickly, allow me to run this Minotaur and showcase how the build plays. It has no negative mods. The only mods that I don't run is no regen, because that's awful. Although we could, because we leech in almost entirely. But it scuffs everything for the most part. Like, it makes your health regen awful. It makes so you make a mistake with mana bad, so I don't run that. Curses can be annoying. Temporal Chains makes things slow. I don't like it. I usually don't run it. If you have to, you can. Keep in mind, the only thing you really can't run is Elemental Reflect, because you're gonna kill yourself. And no leech is... I would never run that. I would actually just consider that a dead map, because unless you want to go through the hassle of using a mana flask, which you can, that's fine. But at the moment I've done all the maps, so I don't have to worry about that. Well, going into the map, very important, never forget to turn on your flasks. I've died more times to forgetting that and getting one shot than anything else. And then we jump into the Wildwood. If it empowers the Minotaur, the fight's gonna take a while, but it's not undoable. Our Chaos resistance currently is not capped, so we do have to be a little bit careful here. It's still a tier 16. I have actually managed to kill the King in a Mist twice. I got once the jewel, once the chest piece. It's a very easy fight. If you found this version of the King in the Mist, you can 100% clear the other guy, because the abilities are exactly the same, except for like a couple of things that are slightly new, like totems and stuff. It's not... You'd want some chaos resistance, but it's not difficult in the slightest. Cool, we got as much juice as we can. Optimally, I usually go for either blue or yellow, because those are the ones that give you either rarity or currency, and I'm not particularly looking for any unique, which is what purple gives you. Nothing too interesting. So we go through the Wildwood. Oh god. Try to not get turned around in here. Inevitably do, because there's no minimap. Yeah, this character is currently level 93. It's been very smooth, very easy to gear. For bosses, I am now trying to push the build to have enough damage to do about Uber bosses. The one I actually want to kill is Eater of Worlds, because it drops limits and needs to be an Uber version, as I recently found out. I'm not doing that right now. But yeah, it's a very powerful build. I'll come back and pick up the loot later. That's fine. Currently, if we have all our poisons on the enemy, the max amount of poisons we can currently do with our attack speed, and it has 15 wither stacks, which we are applying very easily because of our Ascendancy, we get about 8.5 million DPS. So not exactly uber viable, but hopefully we'll get there eventually. Yeah, I just wanted to make a very quick guide on it. Nothing too deep, nothing too complicated either. We are just pretty much building a Pathfinder how it is usually, and the benefit of being essentially the same build as all other poison Pathfinders right now is that if you don't like it, or the same thing goes for the other poison Pathfinders, if you don't like them and you want to try something else, all you need to do here is swap a bow for a claw and a shield for a quiver, or vice versa, and the build kind of just works the same way. So that's a very big benefit at the moment. And the benefit of this over like those Pathfinders is that, like I said, you can use a shield, which means you can use a Dawnbreaker, which means that you have a much easier time converting damage to an element instead of physical, allowing you to be a little bit more defensive, but probably losing out on quite a bit of DPS, because you don't have as much of a chance to get flat, right? Dawnbreaker doesn't have any flat on it, while a Quiver can add quite a bit of that to the build. Yeah, as you can see, tier 16 rares juice to Oblivion with the League mechanic, and we are doing pretty well here. It doesn't clear them in 2 seconds, but again, if you want to do that, I think you far more easily do that if you are in a tier, say, 10 to 12, or even lower. I'm farming tier 16s because I want to do Uber Eater of Worlds for the Nemesis, and because of that, we need to do 14 to 16s, and I'm just going along and doing the League mechanic and all of that, because it also allows me to kill the King in the Mist, for example. So yeah, it's quite a nice build. I've utterly enjoyed it. It's crazy to me, whenever I play Pathfinder, I sit there and I'm like, how can I play any other character? This is so good. I'm not having to spam flats every 2 seconds. I'm able to tank things that no other character is able to. This is the best thing, the best Ascendancy in the game. The one thing that we struggle a little bit with is dot damage. Like, almost, I feel like every character in the game these days. But other than that, we're fine. I did try to do Uber Eater of Worlds once before recording the video. It took me all 6 portals and I didn't kill him. Wasn't even close, it was just over half HP. So, absolutely not. Everything one-shots me currently in that fight, and I don't have damage to just ignore the boss mechanics and one-shot him instead. So, I'm currently trying to gear up, getting more life, getting more damage. Optimally, I would like to use a Taste of Fate. I've been trying to farm it, but it's just not happening currently. Unfortunately, I've been trying to farm the card in core, but it's just not dropping. So, yeah, this is where the build is at the moment. Nice. Ooh, achievement. Very good. I'll come back. Going to Minotaur. We shouldn't need to drop a portal, especially because it is not empowered by the League mechanic. So, as you can see, single target is very, very easy to do. And there it is. So, hope you enjoy the show, guys. Hope you enjoy the build. It's a very good build. I'll leave the POE down in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.